At long last, we finally made it to the home stretch, the 2010s. However, we still have some major additions to cover to lead up to today, so let's just dive right in. In 2012, Cedar Point would close disaster transport to make way for a brand new roller coaster the following year, Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper is a steel-winged roller coaster that was manufactured by B&M. Gatekeeper features a 170-foot tall hill that leads into a 180-degree right embankment, which leads into the 164-foot drop, hitting top speeds of 67 miles per hour. The most notable part of Gatekeeper are the two keyholes that the coaster passes through mid-inversion that are located right over the park entrance. In its history, Gatekeeper has only had one notable incident. In 2021, the chain lift snapped, causing a ride vehicle to become safely stopped on the hill. No one was injured, and the ride reopened a month later with a new chain. 2014 would see two new flat rides hit the point, Lake Erie Eagles and Pipe Scream. Remember in a previous episode when we talked about Mantis? Well, in 2015 it was refurbished into Rougarou. The actual ride layout stayed the same, it was just rethemed, and the biggest difference was that it was transitioned from a standing to a sitting coaster. It wouldn't take much longer for Cedar Point to debut another thrilling coaster, however, as 2016 saw the opening of Valraven. Valraven is a steel dive coaster that was manufactured again by B&M. Valraven features a 223-foot lift hill, and after hanging over the edge for multiple seconds, riders plunge down the 214-foot drop at a speed of 75 miles an hour. Valraven runs 3 trains with 3 cars per train. Each train seats 24 riders in total. The only incident to occur on the ride was very anticlimactic. In 2019, 2 cars bumped in the station. In 2017, a new hotel, Breakers Express, now called Cedar Point Express Hotel, would open a half-mile away from the peninsula on Cedar Point Drive. Alright, so the last of Cedar Point's big 4 coasters would open in 2018. Remember in a previous episode I mentioned that we would return to Mean Streak later on? Well, around this time, Cedar Point hired RMC to turn the headache-inducing Mean Streak into a state-of-the-art steel-wooden hybrid coaster called Steel Vengeance. Steel Vengeance features a 205-foot lift hill followed by a 200-foot drop at a speed of 74 miles an hour. Steel Vengeance runs 3 trains with 6 cars on each train. Each train can seat 24 riders in total. Steel Vengeance opened to rave reviews but had a rough first season. When Steel Vengeance opened, it was an immediate smash hit and is often regarded as one of the world's best roller coasters, the king of Cedar Point's Big 4. However, on opening day, two trains collided in the station, injuring no one but temporarily shutting down the ride. Over the next few months, a serious problem emerged of guests losing unsecured items such as cell phones and sunglasses on the ride, leading to Cedar Point eventually adding metal detectors to the queue. Possibly the most random incident I've ever heard of. On July 21st, 2018, a whopping 7 riders were injured when a child waiting in the queue threw hot sauce on a moving train. The last few years can be summarized pretty quickly. In 2020, the park had a shortened season due to the pandemic. In 2022, Cedar Point renovated the nearby Castaway Bay Water Park Resort. 2023 saw the boardwalk expansion, adding new restaurants, and 2024 saw the opening of Top Thrill 2, as we mentioned last episode. So that brings us to this year, the Big 25. The last ride we need to cover in this saga is Siren's Curse. Siren's Curse is a steel tilt roller coaster designed by Vekoma. Siren's Curse features a 160-foot tall lift hill that leads straight into the famous 90-degree drop, after which the car moves at 58 miles an hour. Siren's Curse runs 2 trains with 6 cars per train. In total, each train seats 24 riders. Siren's Curse hasn't had any notable incidents to date other than its functional unreliability, which the park has largely corrected later in the 2025 season. Alright guys, we are finally done covering the history of Cedar Point. I really have no outro. I would like to thank Cedar Point and Coasterpedia for my information, and I'm writing the script in the middle of 6 hour, not to mention recording this at 11:30 at night when I have school at 6 in the morning. So I'll see you guys on Halloween for the next episode of Liam's Random Introspectives.